Brandon got us back going,
Oh, we got us back going.
up and running. Let me make sure I can see everybody. We'll give a moment for everybody to come back.
Maybe Alfie
Here.
is
Maybe. I don't think it's Alfie though.
I don't either. Somebody said something
All the
earlier.
way, yeah. So let's see. Let me make sure that we're up. Do you see us on?
I see us. I see Janice. I see
Okay, great.
Ginger. I see Kimberly.
Fantastic.
I feel like romper room.
Right. Oh, sorry, you guys.
Kate.
Well, I guess our fancy fix didn't really work so well.
Yeah, it worked about the same as last week.
Yeah.
A little worse, even.
Yeah, such a bummer. So, but I'm back. There we are. Okay. So sorry about that, you guys. About that interruption. This will just be a two-parter. That's just how it is. So sorry. So thanks for coming back up. If you're watching this on the feed, on the replay, sorry about that. If you've caught this one before you've caught part one, exit out of this, go into part one, and then with the feed drops, come back and watch this one, okay? Well, last we were working on this Trax bracelet, we were weaving in those tails. So I wove in that first one, and now I'm just going to finish weaving. You saw that's that second tail that was up here. I'm going to finish weaving it, okay? So we started right up from where we finished the last time, okay? So we had those two tails that were coming out, and we came in and we wove them back in just as if we were doing something that was loomed. And that's it. So there's no tying on this thread, there's no gluing in this thread or anything like that, okay? So we're gonna come in and I'm gonna clip that away. Now we just continue with the infinity stitch, okay? So with the infinity, I'm going to come in, I'm going to get this needle, and we'll just continue to go with this, alrighty? So I have these guys here, the twos, two of the 11-aughts. We come in, we go over the top right here and underneath, and we come tight through like that, and we push this through. So are you
weaving through the beads, only not over the leather? Ginger asks.
Correct. When I'm burying that tail, Ginger, that is exactly right. That is exactly what I'm doing. I am weaving through the beads and not over the leather. That's right. So I want to show you guys what I'm doing here. A couple of you have mentioned, and I'm going to turn my board so you guys can see this. A couple of you have mentioned, and I've seen it in the feed, in our bead shop group, that you guys have been mentioning it. Let me make sure this is turned correctly, sorry. Is that some of you turn your board to the side when you're doing infinity stitch. And I want to show you from this direction, because this may be, if you are having issues, this may be a game changer to you. Because I was actually doing this when I was working on this bracelet earlier. So see how I've reoriented? Now I'm coming out, I'm putting on my bead, I've come underneath those cords. I come in, I nestle my bead in, I bring my needle under that leg, back through, and now over and back through the bead. And sometimes orienting your cords this way may make it a little bit easier for you to infinity. So see there, my thread is over, so I need to put my needle in. So it's underneath. Now I go through the bead, go up and underneath the leather, come back down, and underneath the leather this way. So it's just a little variation on what we've got going on here. So I want to show you the macrame that I'm going to add here. Macrameing with the wax linen. So let me taper back down so I can get a nice taper here. So I'm going to put 2 of these guys on. And I'm going to go in here, come back through. And currently, you guys, for the part 1 of this video, if you just jumped on and you're like, what are you guys doing? How come it feels like it's the middle of a broadcast? That's because it is the middle of the broadcast, but you can find it's already archived both on our YouTube channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, you just click on videos and you'll see Tracks Bracelet. We'll rename it after this broadcast, part 1, so you'll see it. And then on Facebook, it's already archived up there as well. It archives pretty seamlessly up there. So again, sorry, this was a 2-parter because we've lost the feed. But you know what I'm doing after this? I'm calling AT&T. Let me clip. And now I'm going to turn this around. Now I'm going to leave my thread here, okay? Because we're just going to bury it. You know, the macrame is going to cover it. So I'm going to come in with my macrame thread. And you're asking me how much I've cut. Probably, I'm going to put this aside. I'm going to use that for silk wrapping. Probably not enough. I'm going to actually, this board is about 14 inches, so I'm going to cut 2 board lengths, actually, is what I like. And I'm going to come in, I'm going to pull my thread, my purple thread. Maybe I'll pull it down the center. I don't know, it doesn't really matter. It's going to be covered, so it doesn't really matter much. I'm going to slide this, the wax linen underneath the bracelet. And now I'm just going to start to macrame, right? All we do, and I start with the letter P right here, right? There's that loop, so that's with the left side. With the right side, I come over, under all the leather, and back up through the loop. On beadshop.com, we've got some skill builders that really show you the macrame stitch just perfectly. So see, there's that one side. So now I'm going to go, that was actually the Q side, sorry. This is the P side over here. I was thinking in your orientation, but you're looking at this the same way I am. So I come over, under all the leather, and up and through the loop. Now macrameing with the waxed linen, if you haven't done it before, it's a little different, okay? It's a little stickier, the thread is, right? It doesn't have a real, like, in some of the cords, especially with the Chinese knotting cord, there's a lot of stitch definition with your macrame. Here with the wax linen, it just has a little bit of a different look. I really like it. I like also that it's kind of sticky and it really holds everything in place nicely. It adds a little bit of a rustic texture to this too. If you don't dig the wax linen, go find a replacement in the Ceylon. Regular Ceylon is about the same size as this 4-ply Irish wax linen, and you can make your substitution there. That'll work out nicely. Now you could just keep going until you're done with this, right? I'm going to keep going here. I'm going to continue. Now finishing the wax linen in a macrame stitch, it's a little different than I would do with like CKC or something else, Chinese knotting cord or Ceylon. Because this is so sticky under here, it's really hard to pull the tails back through here underneath, like we showed you when Ali Mori was here. So what I do is I actually, and I'm going to do this now, I'm going to add a little bit of glue. And I don't glue a lot with the macrame. but I will. I'm going to add a little bit of glue here, just at the end, and that's maybe about 3 stitches worth. Okay, and that's the hypo cement, my well-loved hypo cement here. And I'm just going to macrame over the top of that. And so it's going to help glue these tails into place. The thing is, when you are gluing with thread, anytime that you're doing that, that you let your threads rest undisturbed before you cut away any of your extra threads. You really want this glue to set. I'm going to do one more. I'm going to add just a little bit like that. And we're gonna, and you could use, like if you had a thread burner or something like that, you could use that. The wax linen is a little difficult with the thread burner. It's not as fast to burn it through. So I actually like the gluing of this one. If I can get the end of my glue back in there, there you go. And I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna do one last little knot here. Then we'll close it off. Now, again, like I said, we really want our threads to rest with this glue on there.
Are you working on the front, back? Does it matter?
I don't know, it doesn't, I could probably want to flip this over, and maybe if I wanted the glue on the back I could, but to be honest, the glue is not going to show much at all. So I wouldn't worry about it. This bracelet really doesn't have much of a front or a back. I'm going to add just a touch more, and then I'm just going to let it rest, and I'm going to keep going. If let's say that it's been 24 hours, I'm going to get a little bit of that extra off. It's been 24 hours, I would come in, again, not now, but that we're saying in the future, I'd come in and I'd just clip it here. And my glue should hold everything nice and tight, especially if it's had time to soak in. And then I just let those little tails kind of go in amongst what's happening there. Okay, and now I'm going to continue my infinity stitch. Now if you had to add thread here, right, I would have added it underneath there, but I still have some thread to go, so I can continue going. But if I were adding my thread, I would just weave it in. You've seen me do this before. Weave it in like I did when I wove the tails out. I'd weave a new thread in and then just continue my infinity stitching. I want to show you, I want to get closer to the end of this piece here. And let me show you with this one. Can you see how I finished this up with some walnuts here? I'll turn this over so you can see it. The walnuts there with the tracks coming down. This could be some more macrame. You could also, I thought about actually crimping this with a transition bead. Might also look good in it like that, to crimp it down instead of the macrame. Or you could do a silk knot. So let's pretend, let me slap a couple of beads on here. Just so I can show you how that closure is going to be. So let me add some beads. And again, the glue here is a little messy, but if you let it sit and dry nicely, you'll be just fine. But again, those tails, it's got to be overnight or else they're not going to hold. And these tails might actually even pull out while I'm working. But that's because this is a demo piece and not a real life piece. Okay. So there we go. Whoops. I didn't go back through that single bead. I'm like, why isn't that bead staying? Let's go back. Put it through the bead. There we go. There's the infinity stitch. Put them back through on my needle. And put these guys into place, and then I'll show you the closure. The closure that I really liked, you know, I've been kind of taking out our old projects and kind of putting them out and going through them, okay? I was really looking at Janice's Trails End bracelet, and we did it about a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, the Trails End. And the closure is just so cool on those. And I think it's a nice way, you could use it on a bracelet, you can use it on a necklace. There's so much that you could do with that closure. So I thought it would look pretty cool on this bracelet with the chain. And this is a 1.5 millimeter distressed violet leather that I'm using, but you could use a 1 millimeter if you wanted it to be a little bit thinner, especially with these 11/0 and the half tylas. But I always like my leather to be a little bit heavier. I'm not a big fan of lathering with the 1 mil, though we have in a lot of projects and it looks great. But just, I think it's my personal preference that I like my leather to show a little bit more. Just like when I do knotting, I like my knots to be super big so people can see them. But again, it all just goes down to what you guys did, what you like. So I'm just going to do a tiny little section here. I'm going to taper this down and I'll show you guys here. And yeah, the 1 mil, the green was actually 1.5 distressed dark green is what it was. So let me taper this back down and get this going here and there. So now let me just weave this back through so I don't have this tail to contend with. Okay, so there's that. All right, now I'm just going to come in. I'm actually going to go this last one. I'm going to go through one more time because it's my ending one. That makes a pretty little nugget and a pretty little pattern right there, I think. Right, just like that. Now I'm going to needle up and just weave back through these beads. There's that one. I'm going to weave through the holes of the half tyla. And this second hole of the half tyla. And now through these 2 seed beads. And again, no glue is needed here. You've woven this back so far that it's not going to be an issue. There we go. Slide that through and clip it away. Okay. So now we're going to tackle this section here, the little knots, doing the knots one more time. You're like, Kate, are you really going to do walnuts again? I am. I am going to do them again.
You got it down now.
I do. I have it down. And we have a few minutes. We're going to go over just a few minutes. But where did my little white tie-off thing go? Well, I'll just cut another one real quick. Again, I'm going to tie it under tension because we want it to be nice and tight there as I'm working it on the board. So there it is. And someone commented about this, and Kim, that's exactly right. Kim Crawford just said the distress tends to have a thinner feel to it versus the coated colored leather. Because that colored leather is actually dyed over the top. This distress, the leather itself is actually dyed. So the metallic leather is a coating, whereas this is a dye that sinks into the leather. So it is a little bit finer, a little bit thinner. Okay. So now let's just tie those walnuts. Let's just do it. Do that loop clockwise. I'm not going to take any resistance from this leather. I go through the loop, over the leather, behind the loop and those 2 in the middle, and up through that outer loop. That's right. There it is, and tighten. Yes. Now, clockwise, or there, through the loop, over the right hand leg, underneath all of the back 2 strands, out and up through that loop. Don't collapse the knot, just tighten it up and tighten. There we go, there's walnut number 2, except that's a little loose. There we go. Who's the boss of these walnuts? Did I hear you guys say me? Yes, that's right. There we go. And behind everything and out through. There we go. And tighten. And I did 4 just because I like the looks of 4. So, but whatever you do, whatever works for you. Okay. Janice also just mentioned over on the YouTube feed, so I'll mention it over here so you guys on the Facebook feed can hear it as well. We're doing some of the new colors of leather in the 0.5 millimeter. Those will be out soon. I love the skinny leather. I string on the 0.5 millimeter all the time, and we have some beautiful new colors of the distressed coming in. So keep your eye out for that. That's coming up in the next weeks or so. You guys will see those. If you haven't joined our newsletter on beadshop.com, if you haven't done so, you'll see all of the great product releases and stuff that we've got there. So now it's time, you guys, to connect some more chain. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open this up. Open this up with my 2 pliers that are over here. I love that. Maggie says you're walnutting like a boss. That's right. That is right. In the 0.5, Mimi, we're getting some of the small, the skinny leathers. We don't have a lot of the 0.5 millimeter. And so we're expanding that line. I'm excited. I love using it. I love stringing our large hold beads with it. I'll play around with it. We have a Facebook Live planned for when those go, and I will focus on the super skinny leather because I think you guys will love knotting with it as much as I do. Okay, so here's that connection like the one that I did up at the top right here. Okay, so now I'm going to add this. So I'm going to go ahead and macrame, but you've seen me macrame here. I think for speed, I am going to actually silk wrap. I'm going to silk wrap this twice because you've seen me macrame it already. So I'm going to silk wrap it. So I'm going to come through. I've got these giant long tails here, right? I come through, and we're just going to slide this bad boy up. And I'm using a double strand here. And again, we have a skill builder on how to silk wrap. When beadshop.com, when we were a brick and mortar store, and when I started back at that brick and mortar store in 1992, this was the first thing I learned. The very first thing was this silk wrap. So this has held me in really good stead. So I recommend, if you don't know how to silk wrap, get on it, you guys, because it's such a good one. So I'm going to lay this on, and I'm not going to go real slow because we've got those skill builders, but you can see I go about 1/3 to 2/3 of the cord. I've got the loop underneath my thumb like that, and I'm just going to take this long end and I'm going to wrap, and I'm going to come around. I want to make sure that my thread, that my leather, it's twisting a little bit, so I don't want to wrap it with a twist in it. Let me get that loop back there. There we go. And now I'm going to wrap. So I'm here. I'm just wrapping, and I'm wrapping from the top of this loop down to the loop that's in my wax linen. Okay. So I'm wrapping, and I want to wrap enough, tightly enough, evenly enough, so that I get a nice clean wrap. I'll tell you, the wax linen was made for silk wrapping. It's perfect. I have kind of a tiny little tail here, but this little tail, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna put it through that loop, okay? So now you can see here are my wraps. Here's that other tail, remember from way back when we started this? I'm just gonna use that tail and see how that pulls that loop in, pull it in. Now watch what happens. That little connection, as I continue to pull, it pops, there it goes, underneath the silk wrapping, okay? So it's buried in there. Now sometimes when my fingers aren't working like I want them to, I get my pliers like this, and then I pull like this on the wax linen. The wax linen's super strong, so it holds up against that pulling. So the connection is underneath there. It's never going to move, seriously. So I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to come in. I'm going to clip away very carefully my tails, trying not to clip anything else. And now I'm going to clip the remainder of my cords here. And I can go kind of close up, maybe cut them at a little bit of an angle with my thread snips here, or you can use your pliers as well to cut it. And then I can cut those a little bit more if I want them to be a little bit shorter. But see, look at that closure. So you can see there's the silk wrapping closure on that, and there's the macrame closure. So there's a little bit of a difference there in look. You could also use one of our transitions, right, that we use in our Tahoe project. It looks, that would also be good to crimp this closed. So let's do that one more time. Let's put this closure on it. I don't even know if this is gonna fit around me as a bracelet. Let me just measure it real quick. Oh, who's a smarty pants? Yes, it does fit as a bracelet. Awesome, good thing. So let me add this little closure to the end. I'm gonna make it a little bit shorter. I'll get a little scrap. All you need is a little scrap of leather here. And I'm going to figure eight that sucker down like this. And I'm going to make the loop, this loop that's connecting into the chain eventually can be kind of small. And then the loop, you need to make sure that it's going to fit into your button. That looks like it's going to stay right there. I'm going to come in and I'm going to use my clamper to clamp all that together. Okay, so I don't have to be playing around too much. Let me get another scrap. I've got another scrap of my wax linen. And I'm going to start, I guess, with, I'm going to lay it here. And I'm going to start wrapping and make my tiny loop on this end, right? Because that loop doesn't have to be very big to get through my jump ring. So I'm there. Now I can unclip and I'm going to wrap, and I'm going to make sure before I close this wrap or tighten it through that it fits through this button. And yeah, that fits just fine. And I don't need a whole ton of silk wrapping here. I've wrapped this maybe 5 times. I'll come through, I'll pull this down, get it right on the inside. There we go. Nice and tight. Pull on both of those. There we go. And clip everything away. All right. This one. And this one. And I left a little bit of the tails on this one because it was a little bit big, but I don't want to obstruct the view of that loop. So I'm going to clip that one there. And I'll clip that one maybe at a little bit of an angle up there. Okay. There we go. Now, and see, it's a little shorter. That's where you can add or take length away in this bracelet too. Okay. So I'm just going to come in. Open this up. Connect that closure and close this up. Here we go. So let's, doing this. There we go. Look at that. That's not bad for all the walnut issues and the connectivity issues and stuff that we had. So look, it's a nice little individual single strand. If you wanted it to really be even, see I have one section here, so I could do two, the macrame in the middle and move that one to that side, but I don't mind asymmetry. So there it is. Not too shabby at all for a show sample, I think. So you can make these variations. I want to see variations on a theme for these, you guys. I want to see you do these tracks bracelets in all kinds of iterations. Because, as I said earlier, with all of the, I'm just going to pile them up in one big pile, with all of the supplies you get, okay, you have plenty to work with. And see, if you stack them all up on your wrist, look at how great that all looks together. Okay, and for the full supply list, you guys, with all of the half tilas that we used, all of the 11-aughts and all of the leather buttons, all of it, go right to our website, beadshop.com, click on the Facebook Live project tab or just the regular projects tab. Either way, it'll bring you to both of the projects. And you can, also there's a recipe that you can just kind of build your own colors as well. So it just depends on what you like. I hope you get a good bunch of ideas with all of these. Again, the bracelet is real simple, but I think it's a really effective use of pattern and color. And I like how all of these go hand in hand. And it really makes, look at how different these beads look with the purple than this does with the mustard. I think it's good.
Sorry, I was trying to get the color to be a little bit more natural, and it went dark. And
went dark.
Got it back.
Well, okay. There we go. Sorry about that lighting. Okay. So, yeah, and if you're new to watching us and you haven't joined us already, go to our Facebook group. It's a private group called the Bead Table. And you can go to, you just have to answer just a few little questions and we'll jury you right in. And you can see there's so much inspiration there. I'd love to see your projects and stuff there as well. So go on over and do that. That'd be great. Okay, Brandon, I'm going to hand you the camera back and let's see if we can end this this broadcast on a high note.
All right.
If we can. And so while we're moving the camera around, we're going to, I'll tell you that Janice is coming next week, you guys. She's going to be here with me in our new studio. Hopefully we'll have our connectivity. Yes, we'll be working real well. And Janice, as she's been chatting on the forums here, she's been telling everybody about the mala. The mala project she's going to be making, which is going to be really a great one. It's going to be really good. And she's doing one. We're doing two malas. We are doing one that's kind of Janice's signature one, right? Where she's also making the tassel, if I'm not mistaken, JP. We're making the tassel from scratch, which is going to be a good one, a good thing. And then we're also going to be stringing the wrist mala. Sorry, it looks like we're in California and it's all...
Oh, I see.
There you go, you got it. It's not an earthquake, it's just us putting the camera back on the mount. Sorry about that. So she's doing this wrist mala that's going to be really amazing. She's stringing it on chain and kind of like the earrings I showed you in part 1 of this. So if you want I know Janice hangs all, oh my God, what's happening to this? There we go. We're back together. Sorry. Oh my God.
I would definitely
crazy.
like it.
we need to, I don't know. This hard wire of this thing is maybe not working so well. What are you going to do?
Especially since it's not working so well.
Oh my God. It's just crazy.
We're going to get it, though.
We're going to get it. All right. But the broadcast, the instruction was amazing. The camera work was just ridiculous today. Not all of it. Brandon, you did an incredible job. It was just...
Hey, I hear you.
Kind of nuts. But anyway, if you're into doing that traditional, that old school mala, this is going to... Let me wrap up this wild time that we had today with the tracks bracelet. It literally went off the tracks just a little, which is
maybe we need to think about titles.
Hilarious. But as always, I like to give you a fun special offer at the end of our broadcast. So if you opened our newsletter today, you saw that we're having a one-day sale on Tyla's, half Tyla's, and Tyla's, half Tyla's, and Checkmate's tiles. All three of those. If you use Tracks 20, those three beads will be on sale. Tyla's, and Checkmate's tiles. Those will be 20% off. So it'll be a great way for you guys to toss some of those 2-hole beads into your cart. And that expires tonight. Today is the 6th of March, and it expires tonight at midnight Pacific time. Okay, so that's our story. Thank you so much, you guys, for joining me on this, again, this crazy, wild ride today. I did see a comment in the comments earlier, and it gave me an idea for Free Tip Friday. I know that you have asked me about our little beading trays that we make. And one of our customers, Linda, makes them, and she showed them to us at our bead retreat last year. And so I think I'll share that with you on Free Tip Friday. That you guys were like, oh my gosh, please show me, and it's kind of been shown. It'll be a fun thing. I'll show you, I have a little something else up my sleeve bead-wise for Free Tip Friday. So join me then at 10:30 a.m. right here on our Bead Shop Facebook page and YouTube channel. And next week, as I said, Janice is going to be here. She's going to be sitting right next to me, right there. And we're going to be just playing around with the malas. Connectivity or not, it's going to be amazing. So have a great rest of Friday on Free Tip Friday, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much for joining me.